Good evening, everyone. It's Jim Hunter. I'm the designer of the festival stage, and I'm sorry I can't be with you there tonight, but I thought I would just walk through a few slides to tell you about how the festival stage came to be and about the partnership with the Folger and the National Building Museum and the production here on the university campus. Back in 2015 to 2018, we had been talking in the department about how to reach beyond the campus and make a larger impact on our community, statewide and even the region. Back in 15, a couple of pop-up globes were popular across the world, really. The two that caught our eye was the Auckland, New Zealand one, which was put in place permanently for 3 years and then taken down. But also, excitingly, was the one in Detroit, Michigan, that was made out of shipping containers, where they would take the side off, stack the shipping containers up, and you'd have a globe theater. So at the same time that we were talking about this, the Folger Shakespeare Theater building was closing for renovations for multiple years, and they were looking for a way to serve their community there in Washington, D.C. So this partnership between the National Building Museum, the University of South Carolina, and the Folger Theater was formed to produce this show in the National Building Museum on the festival stage, and that's how the project got started. During the research period, I was looking, of course, at the globe, even though we never thought we would try to recreate it, but trying to have a sense of the essence of it. We were very concerned about making sure that we had the basic thrust stage that would come out into the audience where the groundlings were. We also wanted to have the 3 doorways in the back, the balcony across the back. We were very interested in the columns as iconic and across the roof line. And as I did this research, I was also very taken with this oculus, which was the view that you took when you were in the globe up at the sky. And that was some wonderful element to try to put into the show. So during the summer of 2018, I was sketching on every little piece of paper in my studio, ripping things off, came through lots of ideas. And then I had to get to the point where I took some of these sketchy ideas and put them onto paper in scale to see just how big the thing would be and where the actors would be in scale. This was the very first computer model I created of the very, very basic structure. You'll notice that it has the three doors on the lower level. It's got the thrust. We got our columns, the roof. I also would like for you to take a look at this, make sure there's stairs here that go up into the back side for entrance and above. And we felt that these were the kind of the main pieces, although we knew that the stage would not look like this in the end. And obviously we were looking for, had a solid wall so that you could not see the actors moving upstage. So this was just the elements. So working through the fall, this was my first real, fully realized attempt at creating what the stage might look like outdoors somewhere. This is the high budget version of the show, and lots of things kind of fell away for budget purposes as we went forward, and the design sort of solidified itself. But you can see I've added the oculus above, the doors, the columns, the thrust is here. We also thought about making it environmental, so we would have the London skyline around the audience, truss lighting and such like that. When we got about this far, we decided we needed to really take a look at how it might fit into the National Building Museum as well. The National Building Museum is a beautiful, enormous atrium, as you see here, and we were mounting the show in that center court where there's the fountain right there, and you can see in the picture. And we're sort of trying to embrace the architecture there. So some of the archways that ended up in the set were archways that you will see along the colonnade here. So this was the moving the outdoor version into the festival, into the National Building Museum. This is the same layout as the earlier rendering. We've kind of changed things a little bit, but we kept our sky above. I want to note that we now have a solid background here that is, we were thinking it would be Shakespeare's handwriting along the wall. And of course, the doors that went through that wall, people would be walking behind the wall to enter through the doors. And then for a stage. We wanted the feel of the show to be a little more contemporary. We were coming down the path with the design. And so ended up looking at, well, let's make the columns a little bit more abstract, a little bit more fun, a little bit more, have a little bit more sense of spirit to them with the curlicues. I added the spiral staircase on the left and the right so that you could go from the lower level to the upper level and in sight lines of the audience. I just done a production of Evita in Orlando where I'd done this on the set, and it was really quite effective. And we still have this solid wall here in the back. Let's make a note of that right now because I'm going to talk about this in just a second. But this is sort of, we're getting a little bit farther, we're getting a little bit more away from the wood trims. This is a real quick early idea of where we might put it on the USC campus. We thought about lots of locations. I have pictures of the set sitting in lots of locations on the campus, including the one where we finally decided. But this is right in front of the Russell House with the pond emptied. And again, note the back wall, because it was at this time that we were really looking at not so much what it would do inside the building museum, but how it would last outside over time. And we decided that, thinking about the force of the wind on it, that we would take the wall away so there was less friction against the wind as it was outside. And so we ended up with, this was almost the final design for the show. You can see the wall is gone, but we're making a lot of getting a lot of advantage out of the archways, which again were taken from the from the building museum, and it has a lot more elegance, I think, to it. And we still have the contemporary feel. You can still see the three windows at the top, the entrances on the bottom, the thrust stage, some of this, all the main elements. Here's a rendering of what it looks like in the National Building Museum. This was actually a year ago. This is back when we built the set over a year ago, and then we're thinking about mounting the show a year ago in Washington, but then held off as COVID was still impacting our communities. So we're jumping ahead. We've built the set. It's been sitting in storage for a year up in Maryland, but we finally pulled the trucks up to the back of the building museum and we offloaded all the pieces. This picture here on the right shows all the pieces laid out in the building museum. About, I would say, 600 significant pieces to the set, it's not counting bolts and nuts and all those other things. Here we have the crew putting it together. All the pieces of the stage are labeled, because it's quite a bit of a jigsaw puzzle, and they're maps about where all the pieces go. Took us, I think, about 4 or 5 days to finish this. Here you can see the stage deck being laid out. Down here, looking on, that's Andy Mills, our technical director. Here we have the stage is beginning to grow. The upper decks are being put on. Took a lot of personnel. We had, I believe, about 12 persons on the main crew, and this will be about the size. I think we'll have about 15 on the crew when we put it together here in Columbia. Here they are. They're lifting up the spiral staircase, sort of the flags of Iwo Jima move. And then you can see the hand cranks that we used to lift up scenery and lift it up and set it on top of the walls. Here's Andy Mills again up on the upper level in the middle. but this is a good view of the front stage and backstage. The backstage area has a crossover here that you can cross under. There's stairs up to the upper level, and then you enter up here around the top. The upper windows are not in yet on this design. You can see them down here, getting ready to put them up. So this is the stage when it's significantly finished. A lot more little things to do, but this is the basic stage that you'll be working on in Carolina. So let's talk about that for a second. So where is the stage going to be set up? It's going to be set up in Woodrow Court, which is right across the street, this Green Street right here, from the Russell House. In this photograph, there's the basketball court is there. This is now grass. Our stage will sit right here, and the audience will be sitting out here on the grass. Right down the street is Long Street. Here is a picture of the site. Again, the stage will be right here in front of this area here, and the audience will be out here on the grass. We're going to seat 250 people for each performance. Here's the ground plan of that. You can see that the stage sticks out quite far into the room, into the space. The width of this stage, you'll be working in Drayton Hall. The width of the stage is almost exactly the width of the proscenium at Drayton Hall. So it's quite big, and it's not quite as deep as Drayton Hall, but it's quite a big floor area. This is a rendering of the festival stage sitting on the site. You can see the Mellon Observatory here in the back. It's the university buildings, audience members on the grass. We will have tents back to the stage left and stage right to serve as props areas and green rooms. So here is the festival stage as it looks completed that you'll be on, and the rendering here on the site. So this is where we'll be working, and you'll be rehearsing in Drayton Hall, so that'll help you get a real sense of how big it is. I hope you have a wonderful first rehearsal. I wish I could be there, and I'm so thankful that we have Devin here to guide us through this. He's a great guy. You're going to love working with him. So hope to see you soon, and thank you.